The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. The apostles gathered together with Jesus and reported all they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while." People were coming and going in great numbers, and they had no opportunity even to eat. So they went off in the boat by themselves to a deserted place. People saw them leaving, and many came to know about it. They hastened there on foot from all the towns and arrived at the place before them. When he disembarked and saw the vast crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, for they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to those joining us through the live stream. You're alone in your car on the way to work. You're stopped at a stop sign by an elementary school. And you're irritated about how slow the traffic is moving through the cross traffic through the intersection. You look to your right, and there are no cars coming. You look to your left, and while you're looking, the last few cars slowly pass through the intersection. So you step on the accelerator and pull forward, and as your eyes come back to the right, a little boy on a bicycle comes off the sidewalk right in front of your car. Hit the brakes. And the little boy continues pedaling along 3 feet from the front of your bumper, completely oblivious to the world around him and to that horrible accident that almost happened. You proceed slowly on your way, but shaken to the core. A God moment. Mom passed away from congestive heart failure 2 years ago. You think of her from time to time, remembering how difficult she could be. Your memories are clouded with a mixture of irritation and regret. Eventually, you're able to put her out of your mind. One day, you're working on a house project, and you discover that you need a thin-pointed tool to help you with the delicate work. So, rummaging through the kitchen drawers, you come across the large-eyed sewing needle that Mom used to sew up the turkey at Thanksgiving. How did that get there? And suddenly your mind is filled with an image of Mom, and you experience an immense feeling of peace. The God moment. Your day is not off to a good start. There are unfinished family issues from last night that are still gnawing at some part of your brain. You got up late, ran out of hot water in the shower, and then as you're checking your schedule, you'll see that there's a mid-morning commitment that you forgot about. Plus, there's rain in the forecast again. You balance the load in your arms as you rummage around trying to find the keys to lock the front door. Suddenly, a small flying insect lands on your sleeve. It has the most interesting shape and such an unusual, seemingly translucent color. For a few moments, you're drawn away from the anxieties of your life into the mystery of this little creature. A God moment. We all experience God moments. A God moment is when something outside of ourselves suddenly pierces through all the layers of busyness, breaks our chain of thought, perhaps even startles us, stops us in our tracks, or knocks us back on our heels. Well, sometimes they're not that dramatic. They're more subtle. But in every case, we're suddenly aware of something mysterious outside ourselves. Something much bigger than whatever makes up the world as we've come to know it. That something is God. These are God moments. God reaching into our everyday lives and touching us on the shoulder and saying, I am here. We all have them. And if you don't think that you do, it's because you're not recognizing them for what they are. When traffic is stopped in both directions on Clegg Road for a trail of geese going across the road, some people in those waiting cars are having a God moment. Other people are just having an irritating anger moment. But once you're able to recognize one God moment in your life, you can start to look for others. And you'll find them. You'll learn to be on the lookout for them, and you'll learn to recognize them. In some sense, you'll begin to come more and more in tune with God's presence in the world and in your life. This is what the saints do. They develop a discipline to look for God in all things and strive to live their lives completely in tune with God. Now, the biggest God moment of all time was God himself coming into the world as Jesus. Everything Jesus did, everything that Jesus said was a God moment. Some people didn't recognize him for what he was. They saw him perhaps with irritation as that last gosling still holding up traffic on Clegg Road. But others did recognize the God moment in the person of Jesus. Not that they fully understood who Jesus truly was, but they did recognize God's presence breaking into the world and into their life. This is why crowds of people came from all the towns and thronged and clamored around Jesus. They wanted to experience God in and through him. The Holy Spirit continues the work of Jesus today, creating the God moments in our lives. That's part of the reason we come to this church building on Sundays. We too are searching for Jesus. Yes, we come to worship God and to give him thanks, but we're also hoping to encounter God. We're hoping Jesus will break into our lives and whisper in our heart, I am here. The truth is that we all long to hear these words. And when we do, we're changed, usually a little, sometimes a lot. Each encounter with Jesus, each God moment, changes us, brings us more in tune with God's presence in the world and in our life. Coming into tune with God means that in some sense, we become more like him. We become more like Jesus. This is a real change that can have a dramatic effect on our lives. Because in becoming like Jesus, we don't lose ourselves. Rather, we come to better understand who we are and who we're created to be. And this understanding brings an inner peace in the midst of worldly chaos and the grace to confidently walk whatever path our life takes. And very often, a God moment, an encounter with Jesus, comes through the people in our lives. That's one reason it's a good idea to associate with other Christians, with others who are searching for Jesus. The simple sharing of God moment stories among one another can help us develop the perspective and the discipline to look for God's presence in our own lives. That's also one of the reasons that our parish does the service day. In the very act of serving those less fortunate, we come to recognize Jesus present in those that we serve. But also, Jesus comes into their lives through us. We become facilitators of God moments for them. Next weekend, I will be introducing a new communication tool to our parish. You could call it a God Moment Facilitator. The tool is a product of modern technology and works through cell phones and computers. So please bring your cell phone to church with you next week. Bishop Robert Barron's Word on Fire group has created a tool called Engage. Now, Engage is a set of short video clips, with each clip pointing to some manifestation of God's presence in the world and in our lives. Each video will be delivered through a flock note, that is, an email or a text, that is sent directly to your phone or to your computer. So bring your phone next weekend, and I'll show you how to connect and receive those flock notes. One video a week. Take a few minutes sometime during your busy week to watch that video. You'll have the ability to comment on it. You can discuss it among yourselves if you want. Ask questions about it. And my hope is that with some of these videos, you will experience a God moment. Something will touch your heart and make you aware of God's presence. And if and when that happens, I would invite you to be a facilitator of God moments to others. Pass on that flock note to family members, friends, co-workers, to others. God knows you're searching for Him. In an instant, Jesus sees the goodness rooted at the core of your being and the struggles that threaten it and all the burdens that drag you down. And His heart is moved with pity for you, with love for you. And today, right now, He desires to break into your life and whisper into your heart, I am here.